benevolence and generosity. We are indebted to you for this kind gesture. Recognize and appreciate the brilliance in the community.
It's an old saying that opportunity knocks only once. We believe if opportunity doesn't knock, build a door. Our guest of honor, Shri Manish ji, we believe, has built many such doors for the companies he has led and the people he has mentored. And not to let go, we now grab this opportunity to listen to him. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Shri Manish Maheshwari, the guest of honor of this evening.
But what an amazing collection of scholastic talent, and what a well-organized show, I must say. Punctual to the last minute. So I think a big round of applause for everything, all the effort that went behind organizing it. And I've been truly amazed, and I feel privileged and honored to be here. I was looking at all the achievements that different students have listed, and not just academically they are so well accomplished, but also outside of academics as well. They have like achievements that really makes me feel very proud of this community of Maheshwari Samaj. And also, compared to them, I feel like I have not done much in life. I think if they have done so much at such young age, by the time they reach their 40s, I think in my mind they would be far, far ahead of any of us. So, इसके साथ सबसे पहले तो मैं धन्यवाद देना चाहूँगा the entire organizing committee, बंग जी, श्री बंग जी, कापड़िया जी, और लाहौटी जी, और दूध जी, और गलंत्री जी, और जो सारे organizing committee के member हैं, जिन्होंने they reached out to me and they felt that I was they felt I was appropriate to be sitting here. I personally don't feel. I think there's far more accomplished people than I am, and I think it's also a great privilege for me to share the stage with Mr. Biyani ji. I think I have been a great. He's been a great inspiration, not just for Maheshwari community, but I think for all the entrepreneurs across India. So I feel very privileged. So, and what I would like to do in the next 10 minutes is just tell a few stories from my own personal life so that I can bring home some of the lessons I have learned in my own life. And I think take it with a pinch of salt because this is one person's opinion. And but I thought it might be worthwhile here given the young audience we have and young professionals who are just starting out their career. So, first of all, a very quick background about me. I want to start with my introduction. So, I hail from a small village called Ajitgarh in district Sikar in Rajasthan. And my father was the first person in the family to actually get formal education. And he became a CA and ventured outside the village, right? And through him, I saw that education is really important because it opened his mind, it gave him perspective, and he became more capable to sort of serve his family, his community, and that is how the whole, the love for knowledge, education, that got ignited in my mind when I looked at him and when I compared my father with my Chachaji and Tauji and other people, because I could see the difference, that how education empowers you and how education makes you more capable of doing more things for people around you and for your community. And that's how the love for education began in my life. So I'm going to talk about 3 lessons I have learned in my life, and I think I'll learn many more lessons, but this is what I've learned so far. So the very first lesson is basically that you are the best judge of your potential. And I think what it means is that never let others judge your potential, right? Because when someone says you can't do it or they express doubt, they are not expressing doubt in you, they are basically projecting their own capabilities on you. Right? I mean, so actually you should always listen to others, but at the end of the day, you should do what you think you should be doing, right? And the story here is my own personal life. I mean, I went to a community Maheshwari school in Jaipur, and most people who came there were from ordinary families, and most of them, I think after education, stayed in Jaipur, joined their small family business or whatever profession they wanted to be. And they had mediocre ambitions in life, they were happy. I mean, there's not to pass any judgment on people. Having said that, on the other hand, I always felt that I could do more. So I think from that school, I studied very hard. I went to Shri Ram College in those days it was, the cutoff was not 100%, so I was able to make it then. These days I don't know if I was able to make it to Sri Ram College in Delhi. And from Sri Ram College also, I mean, it was very new experience for me because for the first time in my life I had gone to a capital city of Delhi, and I was an outsider. I couldn't speak very good English then. I used to speak in broken English, and I think with all the students there who came from very senior IAS families or very wealthy business families, I used to feel a bit of an outsider, and I was living in the hostel. And it was very difficult, my first few months there, right? And ragging, of course, was notorious in those days. But at that point in time, I made up my mind that, this is something I want to crack, and I said, why don't I contest elections, and I want to win the elections. And clearly, I saw a niche there saying, if I was feeling out of place, there could be other people like me who would feel out of place, and they would need leadership, they would need a voice, and I could be their voice. And through that insight, I stood for election, and I actually won election. I was not hoping. So I think in my mind, you should let yourself decide what you want to do. And the same there, I mean, the other thing I would say is that, again, from there I joined Procter & Gamble, my first job in my entire family or my community. That was the first time anyone had ever worked for a corporation or a company, or like that too, it was an American, a multinational company. So I think clearly, I mean, that's how I started my first professional career, and the job was very much in Bombay, and that was like about 18 years ago. And then I got exposed to a lot of management practices and a lot of people from the US. And that time I made up my mind that I want to go to an Ivy League, right? And again, I mean, if I had told people back in my town, no one would really know what he really means and what's the point. But I think it took, I mean, that was something at the back of my mind. I kept working for 5 years because I was enjoying my work. And then I sort of cracked the GMAT and all that stuff. So clearly, you need to be the judge for your own capabilities. And I think you should do what you want to do. And I think you should listen to people, but at the end of the day, it's in your own hands as to what you want to accomplish and be, right? So there's a famous quote, right? I mean, from Abraham Lincoln, I think one of the most renowned US president who led the whole country through Civil War. So he said that, always bear in mind that your own resolution to succeed is more important than any other thing, right? So I think that's what really matters. The second lesson, so the first lesson was like, you are the best judge of your potential. The second lesson that comes to my mind is, you must do what you think you cannot, right? I think the thinking here is that unless you push the boundaries for yourself and for those around you, there won't be any progress in the world, right? I mean, the progress depends on pushing the boundaries. So the moment you get satisfied and get like very comfortable, the progress would cease to happen, right? And I think the education and progress is not just going to colleges and universities. In my mind, education is a lifelong process. I think no matter where you are, you should take up a new project, new role, new thing that actually you have not done it, and sort of you sometimes thought you could not do it, right? So if I look at my own background, I mean, after I did my MBA from Wharton, I joined consulting, I joined McKinsey in New York, and because that seemed to be the most difficult thing to do in those days. And I think it was an amazing experience. I got exposed to a lot of Fortune 500 companies, advised CEO boards, etc. in the US, in Europe, and in Asia Pacific. After that, I mean, the next thing for me was I had never done tech. I mean, I'm not an engineer by training. So I said, why don't I go into tech world and understand tech a bit more? So I went to Bay Area, California, worked for a company called Intuit, which is the US leading corporation when it comes to personal finance software. And did that for a couple of years, did a startup. And then sort of also in India, I wanted to see how this whole new age economy is doing and how different kind of startups are trying to change the game here. So I took up a challenge and joined Flipkart in those days, early days, and built the whole marketplace. And now I'm in media industry, completely new industry for me. I'm learning a ton, and I think I'm trying to figure out how news and opinion get shaped, how they shape the whole narrative in the country, how different opinions surface, and how sort of people's perceptions get formed, right? And how public opinion is mobilized, right? So I think it's a great learning for me. So clearly, you should do things that you think you cannot do, because that's where the real education, and that's where the real learning is. And one more quote I want to say is that, do not be embarrassed by your failures, right? I mean, learn from them and start again. And if you are not failing, or if you are not doing things which are uncomfortable, it basically means that, you are not really, doing what is really your potential. You are not living up to what you are capable of doing. And I think the biggest risk in life is not taking a risk. I mean, you can live a very safe life and and that's going to be the biggest risk, because you have basically squandered away the opportunity that lies ahead of you, right? And the third lesson, so the second lesson was, you must do what you think is not possible for you. The third lesson is, you should always have a larger than life goal, have a purpose in life. If you have a purpose, I think there's a very beautiful quote by one of the scholar here that, it's not about the knowledge, it's about imagination. And there's another one which was about the fact that it's not just about hard work and courage, it's about purpose and direction. So I'm talking about purpose and direction because, before becoming very good at climbing a ladder, you want to make sure that your ladder is leaning against the right wall. And that's what I mean by purpose, right? So the purpose also here in this context relates to, how you give back to the community. I mean, community is very important. How do you pay it forward? Because ultimately, that is what will make you happy, what will make you complete and whole, and you'll have a very good sleep. I mean, you'll be able to enjoy your life as well, right? And I think the way I reflect back and say what I do in that sense is like, clearly, I love mentoring and being in touch with younger, next generation. I go out and talk to students at different universities, both in the US and Bay Area. And I'm a mentor to many of the incubation and startup hubs here, including Gen Next one here and quite a few in Bangalore. So I think that's another third lesson I would say is that have a larger than life goal and have a purpose in life. So just to sum it up, right? I mean, amazing organization, amazing planning. So a big round of applause for all the organizers. I mean, I'm truly impressed pulling together such a large audience, organizing the entire audio visuals, which were top class, and having all the great scholars come on stage and recognizing them. It takes a lot of effort and hard work. So we should recognize that hard work and thank all of them. And last but not least, what I want to say is that it's very relevant in the context of Maheshwari Samaj, is that we should be proud of our identity and our background, right? I mean, and clearly when I say this, I many times notice, because I have been in the US for many years and I have been in Europe as well, many times we feel embarrassed about who we are, our unique cuisine, our unique culture. In my mind, you should never feel embarrassed about who you are, your parents, your community, your country, never. I mean, in my mind, you should bring your whole self to work. And I think in my mind, diversity should be recognized by your colleagues, by your friends, and by the places where you work. There is no need to forcefully fit into someone else's culture. I think our culture, our practice are very rich. There's a thought process behind it. And I think in my mind, part of the reason why I returned to India after so many years in the US was because I kind of feel like I connect more with India, because I kind of naturally fit in here. I think I can create more impact there because I naturally fit in here. It's not that we cannot do things in other countries, but I mean, why not do it here? Because India is at the cusp of tremendous growth and inflection point. The same goes to my diet and my culture as well. I'm a vegetarian. I love to be vegetarian. I have been vegetarian even when I've lived in China and other countries, because you know what? I mean, to my mind, it's part of my identity. It gives me a sense of purity and comfort and purpose. So I don't see a reason to sort of forcefully fit myself in. If someone wants to do it, welcome to do it. But I think I kind of felt that I could do whatever I wanted to accomplish without changing who I am, the way where I come from. And the next one is, I mean, you should always feel proud of your parents, your community, and really, I'm really proud of being a Maheshwari. So thank you so much, and I sincere thanks to everyone for inviting me here and for giving me this privilege and honor. I truly am thankful. Thank you.
I'm sure that application of knowledge is something we can take home from you. Your 3 lessons will be a learning for all of us. Entrepreneurship is living a few years of your life most people won't. so that you can spend the rest of your life like most people can't. As you already know that we have one of the greatest entrepreneur of Maheshwari community with us tonight, and now it's time to hear from this legend. Respected audience, can we have a big round of applause for Shri Kishore Diani?
Namaste. I think it's, I was feeling belittled today by in front of all the scholars. On the left, Mr. Lavati ji is an engineer, on the right, Mr. Maheshwari was a MBA from Wharton, and I'm just a mere graduate. So I'll tell you about my story of education, which will be very, very interesting for a lot of people like you. I was born up in a building in Bombay, a building called Mana Mandir, and it was a road called Manamundi Road, and I lived in a building called Jivan Vihar, and we had a school which was probably 100 meters from my home. And I till 10th, I just passed the school. I don't have much memories of the school, but I remember I never failed, but I never came anywhere between the first